The history of polygamy, specifically polygyny, or a man having multiple wives, in the Bible is a complex subject. It involves a distinction between what the Bible records and what it commands. Here is an analysis of the biblical evidence regarding multiple wives in God's stance, and the shift in modern Christian practice. Many prominent figures in the Old Testament had multiple wives. Reasons were often cultural, social, or related to the survival of a lineage. Jacob married sisters Leah and Rachel, and had children by their handmaids. This was primarily due to the deception of his father-in-law Laban, as told in Genesis 29. King David had several wives, including Abigail and Ahinoam, as recorded in 1 Samuel 25. God spoke through Nathan, implying provision for David's needs, not a command for polygamy. Solomon was famous for having 700 wives and 300 concubines, as per 1 Kings 11-3. However, this was his downfall, as they turned his heart away from God. Elkanah, Samuel's father, had 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah, as seen in 1 Samuel 1-2. The Bible shows God often worked through these families, but it rarely describes these unions as without conflict. God blessed the children of these unions, ensuring divine procreation. For example, the 12 tribes of Israel came from Jacob's 4 partners. Deuteronomy 21:15-17 shows God provided laws to protect inheritance rights. This suggests God regulated the practice because it existed, not as an ideal. Scriptural narratives almost always show polygamy leading to domestic strife. Examples include rivalry between Sarah and Hagar, Leah and Rachel, and Hannah and Peninnah. To understand why modern Christians distance themselves, scholars point to the creation ideal. Genesis 2:24 states, "A man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh," emphasizing singularity. Jesus clarified marriage, pointing to Genesis and the two become one principle. He noted permissions like divorce were due to hardness of heart, not original design. Modern Christian teaching on monogamy is rooted in New Testament instructions for the church. Paul states in 1 Timothy 3-2 that an overseer must be the husband of one wife. This set a moral standard for the entire community to follow. In Ephesians 5:31-32, Paul relates marriage to Christ and the church. Since Christ has one bride, Christian marriage mirrors that exclusive, monogamous devotion. By the New Testament era, the Roman world largely moved toward monogamy. The early church adopted this as both a legal necessity and a spiritual reflection. In summary, the original design in Genesis 2:24 was one man, one woman. Old Testament practice, as seen in Genesis 29 and 1 Samuel 25, was cultural and regulated by God. 1 Kings 11:1-4 warns that multiple wives led to idolatry. The New Testament standard in 1 Timothy 3:2 requires leadership to be husband of one wife. Ephesians 5:32 reveals the marriage mystery, representing Christ and his one church.